An untouchable subject. Hey, we're live. Welcome, America, to the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin, presented by Offensively Creative and Dinsmore Steel. I'm America's sweetheart. You're never going to believe this. I own Offensively Creative. That's Rodney. He is Rod, the PEO god, and we have the thriller from Manila, Robin Valdez. And ladies and gentlemen, very special guest today, the founder of Workzinga, Dan Hunter. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Welcome, Dan.
Yeah.
It is an honor to have you, my dear friend. Thank God you're here. We need somebody that's funny, because Lord knows Robin's not that good.
You need an adult in the room.
Exactly.
This is the first time I had having an active client on the guest, and probably the first time I lose a client because of the show. So, very exciting here today. So Dan, I don't know if you've seen the show. You might be one of the one or two people in the country that hasn't. But the way we approach things is the first half hour we cover the news because America demands our opinions on such things, and then the second half hour we talk to you. We talk to you about Workzinga and your awful taste in music. It's going to be great. But first, I don't know if you know this. Also, every day in this country is a reason to celebrate, a reason to get excited about something. It's always a national something day. And today was dorkier than it usually is. I don't know if you know this, but today is National Batman Day.
Sweet.
And do you celebrate the work of the Caped Crusader? Is that a thing?
That is, we're reaching.
Yeah, no, it's bottom of the barrel. Yesterday was National Sober Day, so this is a little more exciting.
Okay.
I just thought we could have a quick discussion about which Batman is the best Batman. I eliminated the Twilight Kid because he wasn't in this collage. I don't think anyone's going to vote for him.
You only had room for 6 photos.
I only had room for 6 middle-aged white men playing a rich.
I think my favorite was probably Christian Bale.
Yeah,
because he was in the one with Heath Ledger, right?
He was. My only issue is that he talked like this, and I don't think if you know
what I mean. He talks like that.
Yeah, even when he was talking to people that knew he was Batman, like Commissioner Gordon, he still talked like this.
He talks like that in real life. That's how we know him.
Oh, is that the issue? Oh, okay. He's got smoker's lung. I'll tell you who the worst Batman was fucking chubby Boston accented Ben Affleck. He should never, ever, ever get anywhere near Batman.
Can I just say something about Ben Affleck really quick that I've noticed? And I'm not a celebrity. I know Dan.
Dan's. Oh God, Rodney, you're freezing today.
Oh
my God.
Robert Pattinson didn't make the list.
I think now he's doing the Dunkin' Donuts commercials, right?
Ben Affleck? I think Casey Affleck's doing the Dunkin' Donuts commercials on Saturday Night Live. Vanilla Nut Taps? That was a classic. Rodney, you got to log out and come back in.
Yep.
Oh my God, look, he's frozen in terror. Rodney, you with us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I think you need to log out, log back in. That's how you fix the internet. I don't know if you know that.
Turn it off,
right?
turn it on.
All right, Dan. We're going to cover the news. I'm going to kick Rodney out. Hold on.
I swear, if I had $1 every time someone asked me, "Hey, where's Batman?" It's so annoying. Like,
where's Batman?
Yeah, because my name's Robin.
Oh Jesus!
It's like always how strangers open up to me, and I just gotten tired of it at this point.
The Batman joke? Oh my God!
Yeah.
Still
That's
after all these years.
Still
that's not a stranger you want opening up to you. If that's their line, nah.
No, it's terrible.
Get to stepping. Come up with something else.
It's pretty bad.
It's just uninspired, you know, as far as look, Rodney's back.
Hey.
All right, let's get everybody in the right position. All right, listen, we have a lot to talk about with Dan, so we need to get to the news. What's in the news today?
China is always finding out. They always find it of utmost importance to infiltrate America and see what crazy white people are up to. Yeah. It's one of the big reasons why I think Americans have seen like so many more UFO sightings in the past couple of years. But turns out they were just Chinese spy balloons. And I'm sure they always come up with silly excuses like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we didn't mean to fly these balloons over to the United States." But I mean, where else would they be flying them to? Canada? Mexico?
Right. Yeah, so this is the Chinese spy balloon that we shot down back in July. And I have to say, it looks like a weapon of war that was drawn by Pixar. Like, this is it's an adorable weapon of war, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing that confuses me, though, because it seems, I know what you're saying, Robin, but it seems like a non-story because the FBI, after we shot this thing down, did claim that it wasn't spying on us, but it begs the question. So they claim that this was an unarmed civilian airship that was looking for meteorological, whatever, in research purposes. But China, that we found it in Montana. I don't know how, if you guys know this, China to Montana, 6,327 miles. So does that not seem like it should have ended up in the United States?
No.
Didn't they claim
It looks pretty high tech.
They claim like the westerlies, the wind pattern, and I'm like, isn't this predictable? Don't you know which direction the wind blows?
Right.
Yeah. Do you think if you're in the balloon business, you go, oh, the westerlies is like oh shit, the westerlies. We forgot about the westerlies. Oh, that's classic us, westerlies. This is what I was thinking though.
If it's a weather balloon, you'd think they'd know that.
You would think you would factor in the westerlies. I'm not sure what the westerlies are, but if they're a thing, I would imagine that the spy balloon community knows about them. Here's what I was thinking though. This is a little garish. This is a little hard to ignore, a little low tech. I was thinking about spy balloon animals. What do you think about the concept of spy balloon animals? We'd never see it coming. If one of these things walks in your door, oh shit.
Can I just say, if one of these things walks in the door, no one would care if it was a spy. They'd be like, wow, because can I just say this? The one on the left is stuff I can do. These other ones are masterpieces. Where did you find these? Are these for sale?
I'm telling you, it's a golden age of spy balloons. It's a golden age of balloon animals. It's a golden age of alcohol. Everything is amazing in the year 2023.
Look at the deer. The deer. Look at the deer. He has grass on it under him.
I know. Look at
two different
artwork on the
tones.
crab.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Bird.
Thanks.
Why use gigantic spy balloons when you can use spy balloon animals?
I always thought there should be a balloon animal place where you could roll up and be like, listen, I've had a rough day. I need a toucan real quick. And they're like, get out of here.
Like an edible arrangement store that just lifts your spirits.
Like but with no edible arrangements, just balloons.
What if we just put clowns on every street corner? They're just making balloons for people.
Are you sad, little boy?
I just don't know why we're beefing. Like, we have major conflicts right now with major places, one of them being China. We're arguing over spy balloons. It just seems conceptually bizarre, right? I mean, war used to be fun and exciting, and now we're like,
maybe Kim Jong-un's going down the wrong path. He's looking for nuclear weapons, when all along it was balloons.
There was balloons the whole goddamn time. Robin, does this bother you that the Chinese, you're close to China, they're your great enemy? Do you view this as serious?
I do a little bit. They have no business like patrolling our waters, and like again, I've said so many times, they come up with like the most devious ways to declare that this property belongs to them. Yeah. It's just get over it.
That's a good point too. So this happened, like this is a whole, over the summer, there was a big beef with the United States and China because this happened. And then Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan and that pissed people off. So I don't know. I don't understand international politics. Dan, do you have, are you tied into the Chinese government? And
yeah, we're like this.
You have your fingers on the pulse.
We're like this. They call me for, my thoughts all the time. Yeah, I would agree. They pretty much just find any reason to just say that's mine now, especially when you look at the history of Taiwan. It's like, oh no, that treaty I agree with, that treaty I don't, and therefore Taiwan belongs to us, one China, blah, blah, blah. So,
I agree.
Do you think the Chinese government could benefit from your culture fit assessment that you have at Workzinga?
I do, except that they're going to pretty much just mandate whatever their culture is, and this is what it's going to be. So
it's going to be a monoculture in the Chinese government.
Yeah. Oh, it's cultured. It's just probably toxic. So
every test says that you should be with the government.
Exactly. Oh, you're fit for this job. Go do it. We didn't need
what an amazing coincidence.
Exactly.
All right, what else do we got? Because we have a juicy story in the middle that I need to rant about like a lunatic.
There's this Swedish kid that keeps coming on the news. I'm pretty sure you guys all know who it is. At this point, I just think she's just trying to stay relevant. So, I mean, props to Greta Thunberg for her speech in 2018, but it's just getting old, and like the level of activism that she's going for is just not. It's not something everyone appreciates. I mean, look at the smug smile on her face at this point. Like she's just doing it for attention is my point.
I love that you hate Greta. Listen, no one else is doing anything. No one else is getting out there getting arrested for shit. I mean, listen, she's trying more than I'm doing.
The activism is like, so she creates hours of traffic, blocks ports, stops all the ships. Do you think that's really, getting to
that
your
would
point,
annoy me. This is the thing. I don't want to be annoyed by this. I want her to fix the problem and annoy the people that can do. Like, what do you listen? She's anti-fossil fuels. That's a big enemy. No, me too. But she's gonna have to block a lot more traffic.
How old is she?
I
feel like she's been a little girl for like 10 years now.
Yeah, she's 45.
Yeah.
I mean, she's almost my age.
Yeah.
Robin,
they're always like the little girl, little teenager. I'm like, she's the oldest teenager I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So like the police officer on the left, obviously it looks like he's arrested her a few times before already.
Oh yeah. At the same place.
Yeah.
So
well,
this is
the police officer with the other vest on looks like he's been picking up trash. Right? Isn't that the trash collecting vest?
Yeah.
On the side of the road.
No, yeah, I recognize it. Yeah, that's definitely.
When I was in the Boy Scouts, we used to have to wear those kind of vests when we would do community service picking up trash.
Oh, you could have been arrested, Greta Thunberg's. So
that could have been you.
It could have been you.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you're on the Eric and Rodney show with Rod. I looked at. So she got a fine. She was fined $224 for this. So then I got to thinking, is $224 a lot for Greta? I don't know what she's worth. So according to the internet, Greta is either worth 18 million, 2 million, 1 million, or $100,000. So the internet is quite confused. Evidently, she might be. What's that?
The jury's still out.
Obviously. The jury's still out, whether it's 18, 2, 1, or $100,000. But then somebody said that she comes from a wealthy Swedish family. And then people are like, well, you can't take her seriously. But I think this is just like sports. Right. When athletes, come out with, if they're involved in activism, they're like, shut up and dribble. Like no one wants to hear you talk, but they wouldn't have a platform unless they were rich and famous. If they were poor, they'd be like, shut up, you're poor. Nobody cares what you think. So it's like this weird catch-22, I think, with her too. So if she's from a rich family, she's allowed to do shit like this,
They're an oil family, right? I'm joking.
They own pipelines. That would be
the Gettys.
Somebody needs to dig into this. Oh, all right. I got nothing else on this other than this next story might be the greatest thing that I've ever read.
Is it really? Okay, so this next one worries me a little bit. So a few decades ago, if we flash back to Iran, it was actually a very progressive nation. They had a booming economy. Fast forward a few years later, combine that with Sharia law. Not so much. So my point is, like, it's a very backwards nation now, and the women are getting a bit more brave. They're refusing to wear their hijabs, which is worrisome because if you get caught by the police, you spend like 2 months in prison, or your other choice is 74 lashes.
Mm-hmm. So this.
What are the lashes with?
Twizzler. It's a very.
Is it like a pillow fight? I mean, is that real? Like they just lash you out in public? Do you have to show up at a time? I've never understood that. Like, is there like a schedule?
It's so bad. This story should be required reading. So this woman, and I would butcher her name. I don't know, Robin, if you want to give it a shot. But she was detained last year by the morality police because she was wearing the veil wrong. I believe she was raped and murdered, right, by the morality police. So we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of her death. There were massive protests at the time. Yep. To prepare for the protests this year, the Iranian government is pre-arresting people. So they're pre-arresting journalists, activists, singers, anyone related to anyone that was killed in last year's protests. And shit's getting out of control. This is oh my God. I'm a feminist. I love women. My mother's a woman. The systemic misogyny on this planet is unfucking believable because I have many things to say about this. One, I hate that I can't hate all religions equally because if I hate certain religions, it makes me come across as racist. It has nothing to do with it. You can only oppress women and say it's religion's fault and make that seem okay. Imagine a country that mandated black people wear a certain thing. We'd all lose our fucking mind. Imagine a country that mandated only Jews wear a certain thing. We'd all lose our fucking mind. But a country mandates that only women wear a certain thing. We go, well, it's their religion. I mean, what? That's baked in misogyny. It's baked in oppression. It's bullshit. We should go to war with Iran. Sounds like they need some.
Is there oil there?
You're never going to believe this.
Imagine that.
Get the boys on the phone. I just have a question. I'm being serious. I thought the morality police were only online. They've expanded?
They've expanded. It's a real morality police. So now women are walking around in sort of like like they're saying fuck you and stuff on the street to the morality police, 20% of them anyway. But so like Robin said, right now it's a fine. It's either 12 cents up to $11, which I don't know how that translates in. I don't know how much that is in Iran, because then it jumps to 2 months in prison, or 10 days to 2 months in prison. There's a law being drafted right now. If you go against the morality police's legislation, it's going to go up from that to $118 to $23,000 and 10 years in prison for not wearing a fucking veil. Come on.
Now let me ask you this: these ladies are opposing to not wearing a veil, obviously, but is this in America or is this there?
That's there.
The picture here.
It's
okay.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
Thanks.
I'm starting to think
also 74 lashes with a whip is a very odd number, huh?
It's a whip. Okay, that's what I've been sitting here thinking.
It's coming up with these numbers.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do 75? Just go round it out to 100.
The weird numbers don't stop there. Again, the fine is either 12 cents or $11.83. That's those very specific numbers. Why not just do $9.99?
Yeah. Do they take cash, credit, Venmo? How do we pay them?
I think you can Venmo the morality police.
Didn't you get attacked recently by the morality police? Didn't you get an email from them?
This show is constantly under attack by the morality police. Here's the other thing that bothers me. You can't wear shorts in Iran. In July, the average temperature is 96 degrees. Why is God mad at shorts? You know, how can this be a thing? He's going to make a planet that's hot as hell and say you can't wear shorts. It's just conceptually bizarre, and I don't like it. You know what I mean, Dan? Do you have any?
What are the pictures here?
Oh, this is they're starting to find anti-government graffiti, which is very dangerous because there's closed circuit televisions all around, and the morality police will watch you and then text you if you've committed a crime. And
to tell you?
Yeah, well, they'll impound your car. So 439 cars have been impounded since August because they caught somebody on closed circuit television breaking morality laws. I mean, holy shit.
You know what is cool though is that you've got 20% of women that are rebelling against this. There are guys that are in favor of helping them. You know, they're wearing them, as a way to say, look how ridiculous this is. And so
yes.
I think that's when you start to see real change happen, is when somebody that's in the majority actually sides with the minority opinion.
Right.
And I think the more guys that see this as ridiculous, that's when things might change, but it's not going to be.
Yeah.
When some of the oppressors join your side. But it is amazing. Like, I think my point's valid. If you were doing this against any other people, the rest of the world would lose their fucking minds. You do it to women and it's fine. It's fine. It's their religious belief. That's not good enough as an excuse to oppress half the fucking population. And nobody does anything about it. Because if you say anything against this particular religion or other religions that aren't your own, you get fucking.
Yeah, I'm with you, Eric. You know what other thing I would say too, right? Is that I just want the women to Iran. No, it's not like that here.
No, come on
what
down.
My wife says, I do.
Right.
There ain't no fooling around.
We have our own issues, but not that.
No, we'll shoot up at school, but we don't care if you wear a veil. No. There's certain lines in the sand.
The only person in this house that worries about what anybody wears is my wife worries about what I wear.
Right. And not because it's too
you
revealing.
You can't go out in that.
Likewise.
Yeah. Because it looks stupid. Yeah. No,
because I look ridiculous. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Or I'm not going out with you.
Yeah.
So either you change or I'm not going.
Makes sense. Yeah. There's another. So I thought I had heard all the creative punishments, but this was a new one to me. If you get caught, I mean, obviously there's rape. That's old news. But they also make you wash corpses. As a punishment for not wearing a veil. Oh my God. Well, first of all, why do you have a bunch of corpses laying around? Second of all, why are they dirty? And what are you washing them for? Why are we washing the corpses?
A lot of valid questions.
I just don't understand, man. The world's a fucking wacky place. And I just don't know how they can keep this up in a global economy, in a place with the internet. Right. Isn't all this shit going to fall away eventually? Not if I have to wash a corpse, I suppose, but it should. God bless America.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
America's not that bad after hearing all of this.
Well, that's exactly. We do an American story. I hate this place. We do an international story. I'm like, oh, thank God I live in Massachusetts. They did cite Rosa Parks as an inspiration. So I would just like to say that she's a gift that keeps giving. So way to go, Rosa. All right. I don't want to get kicked off LinkedIn Live for going hard on religion. What else we got?
Oh boy, I sympathize with this one. And it's okay to make fun of this one because apparently society is like agreeing that it's okay to pick on shorter men.
Right.
So this is a college student in America, and he's made headlines after shaming his parents that they're the reason why he's undateable. So he's 20 years old. He's reached his growth peak, and he's 5'3". So he's apparently doomed for the rest of his life because women are never going to give him a second look.
Yeah. So it's one of these things where, you know how the last thing you can openly discriminate on this planet is against short men. And I can't, I'm 6'1", so I can't empathize, but it is sad because I looked up this chart. This is the, it's hard to read, but this is the Bumble settings for height.
Oof. Wait, there's settings for height?
Oh, of course they can filter you out.
What?
Wow.
Well, listen, in the Philippines, it doesn't matter because you're never going to reach these heights. But if you look so he's 5'3", that's 5 over from the far right. Like if you're 5'3", there's not a lot of chicks that are interested.
Wow.
Now, it gets insane because like 6'6" is the most desirable height. That shit ain't happening either.
That's delusional.
Right? But look.
7 foot 6'11". Who are these people?
I don't.
I mean, seriously.
My suspicion is that you just click a range. So you get to like 5'11", you're like, yeah, 6, and then everything up to, and then you shut it off at 7 feet. 7 feet's a bit much, I think, too. Yeah, it's a bell curve. But I do think it's notable that nobody's interested in 4'11", 5, 5'1", 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", 5'5", 5'6".
That is so sad.
I know. Dan, how tall are you?
You 5'11".
Oh, so you're right there. You're right there. You're in the positive end of the bell curve.
I'm okay.
So apparently women find it much easier to be with someone who's 7 foot as opposed to someone who's like 5'10", 5'9". That's shocking.
How do you make that work?
That you don't, because it doesn't happen. How many people are 7 feet tall? You going after NBA centers? Is that what you're doing? You have one. I have one type. It's centers for the NBA, and there's 32 of them.
Yep.
How many guys?
Rodney's offended because he's 4'11".
That's what's that?
How many guys are on Bumble that are that height anyway?
No one. Listen,
No one.
I'll tell you this: if you're 7 feet tall, you're not on Bumble. You're.
Apparently,
climbing
clearly you can get any woman you want.
Well, they should get on Bumble then. This story is so the context is that this kid had a hormonal problem, and his parents chose to get hormone therapy. It could have either made him grow gigantic or keep him the same size. It ended up keeping him the same size. So he's very angry at his parents for choosing to treat his condition, which made him tiny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So if a leprechaun like asked you, I'm gonna give you $1 billion, but you're gonna be 5'3" for the rest of your life, would you take it?
$1 billion?
$1 billion?
Yeah.
Or, let's say 4'11".
Tom Cruise is tiny, but he gets laid because he's rich. Like every actor in Hollywood's pretty small. So I think money, like you have to get insane money. I think billion's right. $1 million for 5'3"? I don't think I could do it. $1 billion? I'm listening.
But if why would a leprechaun give it up anyway? He's already short. He needs the money.
What did he spend on himself?
He's not going to give it up to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a poor example.
So an Oompa Loompa walks into a bar. I mean.
Yeah. With a pack of cigarettes and a toaster. Where's this going? All right, we have Dan to interview. So you want to blast through this last one?
Yeah. So this one's probably the most controversial. The story should have been a story 2 years ago. So we were all glued to the TV when the Capitol was rioted. It was rioted by 100, a few thousand actually, ultra MAGA boys. So it's 2023 now, and they're still looking for these men, and the investigation is apparently far from over. I don't really know why they waited so long, but I really do hope they get jailed because they should be.
Danny DeVito definitely sold his soul to the devil to be 5'2", but rich and famous. he's the one example. Man, Jenny's been on fire these past 2 days. Yeah. All right. So the Capitol riots. I mean, this shit is exhausting me. So I said this before. My father lives in DC, works at the Pentagon. So we talked the day of the thing, and I was like, "Why aren't they arresting him?" He's like, "Oh, they'll get him later." And that's been true because there has been 1,111 arrested, including the head of the Proud Boys that got 22 years. But wouldn't it have been easier to arrest them there? They're all there committing a crime. You're in DC. There's plenty of help. There's the Army, the Navy, the Marines. Wouldn't we? Why didn't I? Listen, I'm no military strategist, but you should have got them there, right? Then
that's the question. Where were they during the riot?
Right. Yeah. This guy in the far right, for example, he's fled to Belarus, so he's gone. He's got asylum over there. But like, couldn't we just got him when he was in DC instead of trying to track him down in Belarus?
Right.
I don't understand why they didn't just go out there with giant buses and just start rounding them up. I don't get it. How did it get to that point?
You see all these, like during the civil rights protests, you see them with dogs and zip ties and hoses and all this shit. So don't tell me you can't arrest 5,000 people at a time. We have a vast, illustrious history of doing such things. Why they didn't do it here? I suspect because they were all white. Oh, but this was my favorite one. So this chick, they didn't know who she was. She was identified by 2 ex-boyfriends. Like, can you imagine how excited those 2 ex-boyfriends must have been? And they're like, holy shit, I know her. She's going to prison now.
I think even if you're a Trump supporter, which I nothing against if you are, you'd still want these guys locked up because, I mean, so like this one kid, he assaulted 4 cops with a metal barricade and he said some batshit crazy stuff. So, I mean,
yeah, it's like blue lives matter until Donald Trump insinuates that you should go overthrow an election, right? And then you're killing cops. So it's a little bit, there's a element of hypocrisy there, I would argue. Yeah. And we talk about this all the time. It wasn't a very organized coup. You got to see a coup through. You can't half-ass a coup, and they really half-assed a coup. You got to show up with like, come on, they didn't have weapons. You got to have fucking weapons. If you're going to have a coup, you got to have weapons. Yes, yeah. But then they were all Antifa in disguise. Don't you remember? It was wild times. It was crazy, crazy times to be an American. Oh, Rodney's back.
He's back. Here, you missed the best story yet.
We switched to an internet provider called Third World Communications.
I don't want you to miss this though. So this just real quick. This chick was caught 2 years after the insurrection because 2 boyfriends turned her in. So you just can't get away with anything these days with the internet.
What is she holding?
Yeah. Why is she wearing a pink beret? I don't know if that's appropriate attire for insurgents.
Yeah, if you're going to war, maybe don't wear the pink beret.
Yeah, and she's got her purse. So I don't know what does she have in her purse? What do you bring to an insurrection?
Snacks. I would imagine you need some snacks. A few
Bug spray.
bars.
Bar.
A gator.
Yeah.
Ozempic. It's just whatever you got. It's going to be a grand old time. All right. Listen, let's talk to Dan Hunter about business. You want to get down to business? Enough about the news. Enough chuckling about the news. All right. Do you want to tell us Workzinga? You want to give us a little history there? What
rundown?
It is?
Yeah. So, one of the common problems that all businesses face, right, is turnover. It's a common issue. Why do people leave? You spend all the money to recruit them, and then they up and leave in 6 months or 12 months, and you're left going, what the hell happened? We hired, we had this great committee, they filled out all these forms, we did onboarding, we've got a mission statement painted on the wall. I can't believe that didn't save them, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem is that companies are hiring people that are just simply not aligned with them. They're hiring people that are not a good fit. Doesn't mean that their culture's bad. Doesn't mean that the employee's bad. It just means that the two should never gotten together. And I liken it to dating. Sometimes 2 people just shouldn't date, right? It's just not a good fit. They're better when they're with somebody else, right?
Yeah, like me and my wife.
So the whole idea of how do you really know anybody is what started this. Is during the interview process, how do you really know the person you're talking to? You got a resume. They're giving good answers, but are they full of crap? Are they telling you what they think you want to hear? Are you a piss poor interviewer? Are you asking the stupid question? Tell me about your strengths. What is that? Right? You get what you deserve, really. If that's the kind of interview you're gonna use.
So don't use that question. You're saying.
I'm saying don't use that question.
I'm messing with you.
Because you're not going to get anything authentic out of people, and you're not going to know anything more about them than you did before they walked in the room, right? So how do you know people? And that's where the Workzinga assessment comes in. We basically identify key characteristics in candidates and how well those characteristics align with what the company is looking for. Not things like, do they know Excel or crap like that. I'm talking about work skills, like, how much of an outgoing personality does the person have, and is that really necessary for this job? Are they looking for a relationship and family focused environment, or are they looking for a cutthroat competitive kind of environment? Somebody that likes Disney is not the same person that's going to like Tesla, So how do you figure that out? You can ask them as good a questions as you can figure out during an interview, but you don't know what kind of answers you're going to get. So you need something that's objective. And that's what our assessment does.
Like Workzinga.
This is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And, a lot of times during sales calls, people are like, where's this been? And I'm like, yeah, it was in my noggin. It took a while to figure it all out and how you make it work. But you use this assessment. And so if you can understand your candidates better and you learn these things by reviewing these assessment results, you talk to them during the interview. Have a conversation. For God's sakes, these interviews that last 20 minutes are garbage. Because if you're surprised that someone leaves in 6 or 9 months after only having a 20 or 30-minute interview that was superficial at best, then you're going to continue to make that same mistake over and over and over again. We want to change that dynamic, because companies in the U.S. are spending, according to Gallup, they're spending about $1 trillion in costs associated with turnover, between what it costs to hire them, lost productivity, damage to their reputation. The list goes on. $1 trillion bucks a year is flushed down the toilet. It's insane. And yet, when you talk to CFOs, it's just a line item. It's just an expected expense. It's just a cost of doing business. We factor in 25, 30% attrition. Bureau of Labor Statistics, their annualized attrition number for 2022, 33%. That means 1 out of 3 people are leaving companies. 1 out of 3 positions turns over every year.
Why do you think more? I just have a couple questions actually, but why do you think more people don't have enough sense to use this? Because it seems like common sense to me.
Because they think they know their culture and they think they're a better interviewer than they are.
Okay.
And yet they can't see and have the self-awareness to realize that they've got 25% turnover in their company because of their hiring practices. It's not.
What's like a good metric to? So hold on, I'm sorry, just one more question. It obviously companies and people are watching this. If you have turnover, like what's a normal
healthy turnover?
What's a healthy versus like, is there a number where it's like, if you don't get Workzinga in here, this place is going to burn to the ground?
Yeah. If you're talking about turnover numbers that are 22, 25% and higher, you've got real problems.
Yeah.
Should you have a turnover number of 0%? Absolutely not. If you're not getting rid of people, if they're not leaving because they find better jobs, then that's a problem too. But they can't be leaving because they're pissed off at their boss all the time, or that they don't feel appreciated. They can't leave after 6 months because they're going to go make $1 more an hour. Making $1 more an hour is a symptom. The problem is that you guys were just disconnected from the get-go. So it's a ridiculous cycle that we've been in for decades, and this is one way to get off that merry-go-round.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with everything you've said.
It makes a lot of sense too, because you use a great example in one of the, I think it was your HR Tech 2022. I listened to it again last night. Spectacular performance.
Amazing, right?
Oh my God. Honestly,
performance.
You didn't get an award for that? That is, I'm going to write somebody. There's going to be a strong worded letter. And
Will Smith is blocking everybody, guys. I'm telling you.
Just can't get through. It's Will
Smith.
Smith.
Animal.
I know. But you said something about, this was great because I think they were like latent values, something. You say like everyone likes teamwork. Everyone lies about liking teamwork because we think you want to hear that I'm a team player, but not everyone's a team player. And I don't think sometimes having a lone wolf type thing is good, right? Not everyone can be on a team.
And if that's your natural go-to, you're going to be more productive and you're going to be happier. So don't lie about it. Understand who you are and go towards that. There are jobs out there that don't require you to be in a tight team environment. It doesn't mean you don't have colleagues, and it doesn't mean that you're pissy to them. It just means that in your work setting, you're not heavily dependent on someone before you and after you. You're just more of a sole contributor. Doesn't mean you can't go to lunch with people and have a good time. That's not teamwork. That's collegiality. That's different. That's just not being, a prick at the office. If you're not looking for that handoff and someone's dependent on me kind of thing, then don't pretend you are. But a lot of people
be authentic.
Be authentic. But a lot of people don't understand themselves well enough to realize that, though. In all fairness,
That's true.
Interviewers, by and large, don't do a good job of challenging candidates to really think about what they want and what they're looking for, because companies, by and large, want to get you for the cheapest price possible. And so they're really only interested in figuring out, can you do the job and how cheap can I get you? They're not looking for the long-term fit. And that hurts the company, but it also hurts the person. And so decades of that builds up, and they're not accustomed to having good interviews. So they walk in and they do that exact thing. What are you looking for? Oh, teamwork. Absolutely teamwork. Whatever.
But I think authenticity in the workplace is, I think, conceptually bizarre for a few reasons. One, like at the top, office jobs are 100 years old. Like there's not really, maybe we haven't been doing this for that long, but even within marketing, like we always try to do the buyer persona. And I'll tell you this, every buyer persona hates contractions, wants to get right to the point, doesn't like fun, so we have this idea of what a business person is and how a business person, and then we act as if, so like I'm playing a character in the interview, the interviewer is playing some sort of fucking weird character.
Yeah.
And then you want some sort of authentic, exchange, and it's not there. So I think machines,
right. They always say, they always say, right, the closest you ever come to perfection is in your obituary and on your resume.
That's right.
It's like when people ask for references, right? You're not going to be like, you know what, this guy hates me.
Yeah, exactly.
Ask him about the time in fantasy football when I really took it to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all fake. All fake. Yeah. So I agree that we should use some objective measure, because you're lying to me. We're all lying to each other. Let's just have the narrative do the talking.
Dan, do you find that they use it up front? So I guess my other question is this as well. I got a few questions, but I find a lot of times, like in a normal setting, right? So they'll use a recruiter, say for argument's sake, they'll bring in a bunch of people, right? They'll interview them, they'll narrow it down. And then they just hire the person, and then 2-3 months for whatever it is, it doesn't work out, or you're like, whatever it is. Where do you think they should fit Workzinga into that process?
Before the interview. So after you've kind of combed through the 55 people who applied for a job, 40 of whom are nowhere remotely qualified for the job. I mean, let's be honest, there are people out there just blasting applications out. Yeah. And then they get pissed off when they say, I applied to 500 jobs last week and I didn't get interviewed. You could not possibly have researched 500 jobs. Yeah. Well, that's garbage. Yeah. So you filter them out and you figure out, I've got 6 or 8 people that seem to have the qualifications. I'm going to want to talk to them, then have them take it. Because if you don't use it in the interview, you're missing 80% of the value. If it's not part of your conversation with the candidate, then, like I said, you're flushing a lot of the value right down the toilet. So you've got to get it at the right point.
We got a question here.
To Jenny's point, what if an applicant wants to be authentic but doesn't know if the employer wants authenticity? I mean, is there maybe the answer is Workzinga, because now neither one of you is lying to each other's faces, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, and it's easy to say this when you're already employed, but you don't want to work there. Right. You don't want the job because you're going to leave.
Yeah.
So do you really want?
Yeah, it's just a stepping stone.
Yeah, you're going to be there for 3 or 6 months. Now, if you need a job today because you got to make rent tomorrow, I get it. Do what you got to do. Yeah. But don't be surprised. Don't be surprised that you're pissed off in 3 or 6 months.
Yeah. I also feel like, though, in those jobs, and I may be wrong about this, but I also feel like the jobs you're talking about, right? Or like, and I mean, funny, but like those aren't getting by jobs. You know what I mean? Like, like at that level, like this is your career.
Yeah, I'm not talking about a bagger. Because companies aren't going to look for a culture fit there, and a candidate's not really looking for it either, because they even know it's a stepping stone. That's fine. I don't knock it. You do what you got to do. I've been there.
Sure.
But when you are talking about a career decision, and
that makes sense,
and you don't want to have another blip on your resume where you're somewhere for a year, then you got to be more judicious about your choices. Yeah. And you need to push back in interviews. You need to interview the company just like they're interviewing you. There was a great post on LinkedIn the other day about companies saying, can I call your past employers? And it's like, sure, but I want to be able to call your former employees. It's fair. I mean,
it's funny.
Take it to them. Interview them, and that's one of the cool things about the Workzinga product is it's not just one-sided. We don't simply profile the candidate; we also profile the company, and we give that information to the candidate. So just like
makes sense.
Just like the company learns about the candidate can learn about the company as well and probe the kinds of things like, oh, I see that you're very goal focused. How does that come through in your decision making? How will I be part of that? Have those conversations. because a lot of people feel disconnected. They don't feel like they're connected to their boss, all kinds of things. These are all things that you could have seen up front and talked about. And maybe you still take the job, but at least you're forewarned.
So. I think it also gives you things to talk about too, though, right? Like I've been in interviews before, and I've interviewed people, and it's like I'm looking at a sheet, right? They're sitting in front of me, and it's like, you know, going through all their, and it's like, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I'm thinking, and they're like, I'm, you know, whatever. Where I feel like with your product, you would go in and you would say, you know, I know you took, you know, I tell you took the assessment, and it looks like, you know, I don't know how it works, but, you know, be like, it gives you something to get into, and they know that you've done some homework instead of just tell me about yourself. You know what I mean?
Something that's substantial too. It wouldn't just be this bullshit. Where do you see us in 5 years? What are your weaknesses? Like, yeah, you could talk about real shit.
Yeah, I mean the days of those BS stock interview questions, they need to end, because you're never going to build a workforce that's resilient and it's going to stick with you through the shitty times if you constantly do the same thing you've always done and you're just checking boxes. Then you know what, like I said, you're going to get what you've been getting. And don't expect to turn the tide on attrition. Don't expect to improve your engagement. Your productivity is not going to go up. It is what it is.
I wonder if the three of us are a cultural fit for the Eric and Rodney show with Robin. Do you think that we should take the Workzinga assessment?
Yeah, I totally do, because there's this is sketch, I gotta say. You know, so I've thought it. I've watched
a ragtag organization.
Why am I doing this? Oh wait, I'm sketch too. Okay.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the club, buddy.
We paid him.
You know what's funny too is I think, believe me, I'm soft as shit, so I like where things are going. But I always like to think, like 100 years ago, if you worked in a mine, there was no company culture. It was like, shut the fuck up and get black lung. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. But I love now that, I mean, listen, we're here 8 hours a day at least. It might as well not suck. And if I'm happy and my employers are happy, I would imagine we're all more productive, and then we could buy more booze, and then it all works out. But you know what I'm saying? Like a pirate ship, I would imagine, had to have pretty good culture. But outside of that, if you were a farmer, just shut up and pick the wheat or whatever it is. You know. I
remember when I had summer jobs, right? And I remember thinking to myself, I do not like weeding this person's yard. And I remember saying, I'm just going to take a break, boss. There's no breaks, son. Back to work. I don't recall him telling me I needed to. I don't recall him saying to me, let's talk about your attitude and the culture here, friend.
I know we're heading into a much brighter future, which I can't get enough of. So you said there's 8 categories of culture. Do you know? Can you rattle those off? Do you know what they are?
No. Yes. So there are.
He's never heard of them.
I'm not going to. So first of all, it's proprietary. I'm not giving out our secret sauce. Through that, well, you can buy the product, and you know,
it's all over YouTube.
There's a lot of different ways to look at it. The 4 broad categories, though, that you think about are: you've got companies that are very traditional, kind of thinking like IBM. You've got companies that are very innovative, like a Tesla. You have companies that are very relationship oriented, like a Disney, and then you have some that are very goal, just straight up competition, where you know we want to achieve a certain market share. Those are
like Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Or Amazon. You know, you think about it broadly, but then you also think about all the nuances, because companies are made up of people, and so companies have a personality. So you can't just say, "Oh, it's this." It's much more than that. It goes much deeper. So you think about kind of at these broad general terms, but then you start looking at, well, what goes into that? You know, what types of leadership styles do you have in the company? What types of things do you use to motivate your teammates? What are the values that you kind of push within your organization? And is it different within divisions? Is the Nashville office different than the Massachusetts office? Is accounting different than engineering? You know, there are all these nuances. And so you can't just use a broad brush and say, oh, this company is like blah, therefore I'm going to be a good fit. You can't say that. That's why you need something that's going to be very granular and really get at the root of what am I walking into? What does day one look like for me? And am I really going to be well aligned with what I'm going to be seeing? So
when people hear about this, is there generally any pushback? Because it doesn't just make a shit ton of sense to do.
Yeah, I mean, what in the world could be what's the problem?
Yeah, the obstacle a lot of times, it's just the bureaucracy of working through the decision-making process with a lot of companies. We very rarely hear anybody say, I haven't heard anybody yet say it's a bad idea. Okay. And we haven't had anybody, you know, really push back and say it doesn't make sense for us because, you know, we don't care or anything like that. But everybody feels like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. The question is, can you navigate the bureaucracy of getting to the right people who are open-minded enough to say, we're not doing a good job and we need to do better. That's the challenge. That humility is unfortunately lacking in a lot of people. It's tough.
I get it, but from like the recruiter's point of view, this would eliminate a lot of people that would waste your time because they're just not a good fit. So why wouldn't you want that?
I think even from an applicant side, like I'm just thinking out loud here. Like if I was a job seeker and I could go somewhere and I could be like, I don't know, like the way I see it now, right, is that if somebody has a job, say it's a sales job, right, and you go to a sales job or whatever it may be, and you make X amount of dollars and this and that, you don't really know anything about the company. You may have heard things. You may have had a friend that worked there. Everybody has a different experience, right? So if there was a way for, like, if I was applying for jobs, for me to find out how's this company, I mean, it's a no-brainer from both angles.
The B2C option, which, we're talking about, we started with this B2B play because we felt like it was the best way to get into the market. But the broader application, I think, is a B2B2C play, where, you bring everybody together and this is the common language that you're using, and you move beyond the elements of a resume and you start talking about the things that actually have impact on their longevity. I don't particularly believe a lot of the things on your resume actually impact how long you stay with a company, because many companies train you to do the job anyway. The resume is a way for them to think that you're serious about it. The things that help you stick are resilience and grit, and do I like this? Am I loyal to my boss? Am I loyal to the company? All of that comes with, how well aligned you are. So if that's not 80% of your conversation during an interview, you got a problem. And I don't see how you can do it effectively if you don't have some objective way of getting at the information like this.
Or at least, I would say I agree with you, but I would also say a consistent way. Like a lot of times I find with companies, right? Like I used to work in finance, and everything is like, do this, do this, do this, do this, like next step. And I find a lot of times in companies, it's just kind of like, whoever's running it's doing whatever they're doing, right? There's no process.
Right. Go sit there and watch that person and do the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if someone like Indeed would use this and they forced every company that was using Indeed to fill out?
It would be awesome if a company like Indeed used this. So
wouldn't that make all the sense? And then you would get a list as an applicant of all the culture fit companies. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? I'm not just this isn't a fever dream. That's best case scenario. Right?
It might be a fever dream. I'm not saying it's not, but it doesn't mean it's not accurate, though.
Sometimes
it would save so many people so much time and aggravation.
I would think LinkedIn would use it too. LinkedIn would say, "Hey, listen, we're trying to peddle some jobs here. Let's help out. Let's get it going."
Why doesn't LinkedIn tack this onto Sales Navigator? It's already charging money. Just $10. You fill out this thing, and then you get a list of companies that are perfect.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. You take an assessment, and then it tells you which companies are on the platform that are. Oh my gosh! Hold on a second.
We got some.
Hold on a second, Eric. Robin, write this down.
Yeah.
So they figured out that kind of algorithm for like Spotify, YouTube, like which stuff you like watching, which stuff you want to see. They should
like the world. Netflix tells me what I want to watch. Everybody else has figured it out except for job seekers. And
which is bizarre.
It would really help this, I think, if we went to LinkedIn or we went to Indeed and Dan Hunter was already famous. So we're going to make you famous. So I looked up. I Googled famous people in HR. Do we know any of these assholes? It's not like we're competing against the Beatles or Citizen Kane, right? Do we know who these people are? Do you know anyone here?
Megan Barrow.
Better yet, are we connected to any of them? I feel like I'm connected to a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm connected to a couple.
All right. So just so we know, these are the rock stars in HR. And I got to say, I'm not impressed. This is like the worst season of Saturday Night Live. Like there's nobody here that's a superstar. No one's breaking off into movies. But it could be you, Dan. So I think we should.
Now we just need to elevate my brand.
We have to elevate your.
Well,
I like the name.
Dan Hunter's name.
Yes. Oh, Dan Hunter is a great name for what it is that you do. So we got. And Workzinga is your middle name, right? That's where the name
is. How did you know? It's.
Oh, I see. Workzinga is your name. Dan Hunter's is the company. I get it. Yes. Okay. I was confused.
There it is.
So do you think, I know you tried, so let's talk about your foray into LinkedIn Live. It didn't manifest into your fame and fortune, right?
No, not really. We had a lot of really good content and we had some engagement, but it didn't translate with the buyers of the product. It just never resonated. So we need either a different platform or a different kind of content.
Right.
But it never really hit. with them. It was fun to do, and we met a lot of great people, and we had a lot of great conversations, which is all great value to put out there. But I firmly believe if that value doesn't result in a conversion at some point, why are we doing it?
Oh, of course, it's useless. Luckily, we've made millions from this show, so we don't have that problem.
See there,
But,
the fives and tens, the fives and tens
of people that are mostly our parents. But it's a view's a view, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just last month, my mom paid my cell phone bill. Things are picking up.
Oh, stop. What are you reading Dan's body language? I think his body language says, listen, everything we've said is very smart and he's going to implement it all. That's what I'm reading from you.
That is.
They're working on it now, Jenny. They're actually implementing our ideas as we speak. By the time this thing's over, it'll be done.
What you can't see is the glass screen over there that has our roadmap on it. That there's Indeed, there's LinkedIn, there's ZipRecruiter.
Have these great ideas occurred to you? Because I think
excellent ideas.
It is gold what we're giving you here. Okay, so speaking of shows on LinkedIn, some of the things I used to do is Jesus Christ, something just crashed. Can we talk about your musical taste real quick? Can we humanize Dan Hunter?
You can try to humanize him. Good luck.
I'm going to give it a shot. So, Dan, I asked you this question. I said, if you were trapped on a desert island, you could only bring the complete music catalogs of 5 different musical bands / artists. Who are they and why? And I got to tell you, I've asked, I think at this point, hundreds of people. 4 of your 5 have never made this list before. You were choosing 4 brand new artists to the island life, including number 1, Reba McEntire.
Reba's good.
She is an American gem. I can't understand why she's not in everybody's anthology. I mean,
did you ever watch that show with her?
Yeah,
Reba. It was good. Yeah.
She had a sitcom too. Yeah, I guess
she had a couple. Actually, she had a couple.
She's amazing in concert. So,
Dan, how old are you? May I ask? I know you're not supposed to ask.
51.
So
a young man.
A young man. But when did Reba come into your life? Because when was she popular? I don't even really remember. Were you
the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s? Have you ever heard her entire catalog? She's like the Garth Brooks of the female country scene. Please, Reba McEntire is a national treasure.
I'm out on country, so it's my ignorance, clearly. But so you were a teenage Dan Hunter was blasting.
It was the 90s. It was when whoever's in New England's through with you. Oh, come on, that's good.
That one went down in Georgia. You remember?
That is, I love that. My favorite, Fancy. Fancy is my.
Oh yeah, Fancy's a good one.
I mean,
Fancy is a story inside the song.
It is, and her video, she kills it. She kills it, and she was one of the first
Reba super fans.
She was one of the first to kind of pioneer that storytelling video in country music, and it's just amazing.
True.
And her.
So you're saying her music videos are also good? Are they going to be on CMT, right? They weren't on MTV. I don't recall.
No,
they were on CMT.
CMT. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Check out some music videos by Reba McEntire.
Okay. They're good.
So the only band that's appeared on somebody else's list, it's just one of my friends who has them on because he's a super fan, is Linkin Park. So you go from Reba McEntire to Linkin Park. A classic combination.
Another classic.
There was one.
And put that on a playlist. Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, no, they go together like peanut butter and lamb.
See? Everybody loves Reba.
Wow.
She's the bomb.
Yeah, you should put that. You should add these questions to the.
She's famous. I guess it is. She's famous when you say Reba and people are like,
yep,
yeah,
right. Like that's when you've made it, right?
Yeah. Like when someone goes Hitler and you go, I'm sorry, which Hitler? Nobody goes.
There've been so many.
What Reba are you talking about?
Not my
neighbor. Talking about Jimmy Hitler? No, Adolf.
Oh, that one. Got it. Yeah,
never heard of her.
It's pretty underground. I don't know what Fancy is, but everyone likes Fancy.
It's a story about it's a come up story.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna check out Fancy. See, Dan, the only other one you were the other one. Linkin Park on the list. The only 2 people in the world that have Linkin Park on the.
Come on.
Wow.
I like Linkin Park.
That is just great rage music.
Yeah.
You're in traffic.
Yeah.
You're pissed off at the world. And then you can flip, and then they have these other songs like Shadow of the Day and stuff.
Yeah, they're melodic.
Somber.
Yeah, the sad boy music.
Yeah, and I mean, it gets you here. It's like, that's
okay. So you kindred spirits. Like Dan's shocked at 2 lists, dude. Dan, yours is one of them. The 2 people are right here, right now. So. Okay.
The Linkin Park fans have united on the Eric and Rodney show with Rob.
My favorite Linkin Park
two
was,
of them.
I think it was One More Light. Is that the right title?
One more, I don't know.
It was a very depressing song, actually.
There are
I think, yeah.
They have some soul, I think.
They do.
Right? They're not afraid to get deep and sad. Obviously, Chester was sad. So your third one, again, these next three are shockers. Hans Zimmer. So you're just gonna listen to the Lion King.
Hans Zimmer's amazing. Amazing.
I mean,
What about the Interstellar soundtrack?
The Interstellar.
I love movie scores. He did
The Cornfield Chase.
He did Da Vinci Code, which is just, I mean,
a masterpiece, Dan. A masterpiece it is.
Wow.
Yeah. This stuff's great. Dan, you're really up at the top
He
there.
did one of the Batmans.
Hans Zimmer did one of the Batmans. Okay, well now I'm listening.
This is like focus music. Like when you really got to get shit done or you need to think, you put this on. This isn't like about dancing and jamming. But I'm telling you, the Cornfield Chase and Interstellar will blow your mind. Go on.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down too. So let me ask
While
you this:
you're
the
working?
Lion King. Lion King. Did he work with Elton John? Because that was Elton John. Was that a Hans Zimmer Elton John
I don't know if
mashup?
that was Elton John or not, or if it was the other guy that Elton John always works with.
Yeah, well, the Circle of
Bernie
Life.
something.
Maybe it was Hans
Yeah,
Zimmer.
Bernie
Okay.
Tapin.
Number 4 is a Lizzo.
Hey,
Mm.
the sign.
Lizzo plays the flute.
Yes,
She
she
plays
does.
Benjamin Franklin's flute, no less.
Benjamin Franklin had a. Oh yeah, that's right.
I remember that was a huge controversy because she played like anyone gave a shit about Franklin's flute before she played it. What about
Was it electric?
what about Lizzo? Speaks to your soul there, Dan.
I love the authenticity in her lyrics. She writes a lot of her own stuff. My favorite, I think, is The Sign, because it starts out, hey, anyway, probably can't use that.
Sing a little. Can you do a little Lizzo for us?
No, I'm not going to sing it. But The Sign.
Walk us through the lyrics.
I mean, come on. I mean, it's just, that's good. Get out of your seat and move around music.
Yeah.
I like it when she refers to it as bad o'clock. That's one of my favorite lines.
Oh, that's good. You see, she got in trouble for fat shaming, which is
What is that about? I mean,
is that even possible?
It's like me hating people with great hair. Can it be done? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like
really,
me.
Really
it's like me helping. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Speaking of things that don't make sense, the 5th band on Dan's Island, Enya.
Another good one.
I mean, great for meditation. You're having a bad
This list
day.
is all over the place.
Put a little Orinoco flow going on in the background. Yeah.
Oh man, you have the most. Okay, so really, I just want to run this down. Reba McEntire, Linkin Park, Hans Zimmer, Lizzo, and Enya. What an island you have! And then I asked you what band you hate, and you said whoever wrote Baby Shark. So, that's Pink.
Yes,
Fong.
That's fair.
That was Pink Floyd. You said
Pink Fong. They're Pink Floyd adjacent.
It's Pink Floyd.
That can't be a Pink Floyd song. It's not 45 minutes long.
That's true. Oh man, if Pink Floyd doesn't cover Baby Shark, somebody get David Gilmour on the phone. Robin, can you
they need to cover
email the surviving members of Pink Floyd. We gotta get this done. All right, I'm gonna go through your death row meal real quick because we have 2 minutes left. You're starting out with the shrimp cocktail and loaded potato skins. Doing 2 very classic appetizers, I would argue.
Yeah.
I mean,
loaded potato skins are hard to argue with though because you get so much bacon and cheese and chives, and sour cream, and oh my god, it's just
and ketchup.
Oh, the whole ketchup on there too. Listen, it's an invitation of flavor, And shrimp. What's up?
It's good for clogging your arteries, so who cares?
Well, you're about to die
on your way out.
Oh yeah, no, his island is very emotional. Okay, so then for a meal, you're going with a prime rib and steamed crab leg, a classic American bistro choice there. I like this.
And you figure the crab legs, that's got to take you at least an hour to get through them.
That's true. They're very difficult.
That's a good point.
Okay, so macaroni and cheese as a side dish along with McDonald's French fries. Now you carry the proud tradition of almost everyone having a potato of some sort with their last meal. So I'm glad to see McDonald's French fries make it. For your dessert, you're going chocolate cake with a cream cheese icing. That's a bold move. Not a
cream cheese icing is the best icing in the world, Aaron.
It is the best.
Yeah, we are kindred spirits.
I think
you don't find it that much.
You don't. It goes on carrot cake a lot, but you don't see it on other cakes, which is
and
weird.
red velvet a lot.
Red
Also,
velvet.
red velvet, it goes on. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think it's the best
Yeah.
one, but you just don't see it that often on things
Yeah.
that are not red velvet or carrot cake.
It's
So
too
maybe it'll
complicated
take a
to
little
make,
bit
I was
longer to
told.
find it for me.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we will. And then you put a little Easter egg in this for the executioners. You're going to shove popcorn kernels up your ass so that when we fry you, that's very creative.
That's creative.
That's really
Dinner and
good.
show.
Dinner.
Dinner and show.
Now,
All
was,
right,
your
I'll-
ribeye, was that endless ribeye, or was that all you can eat ribeye? Because then it may never end.
Good point.
Then the popcorn kernels never pop, and then everyone's.
I love it.
Very true.
All right. We're probably going to have a hard cutoff here, so we can't get to your movies, but we'll have you back on at some point. Do you want to pimp out Workzinga? Where can we find you? How can we get in touch?
www.workzinga.com.
Mhm.
You can learn more there. Plus, you can book a demo and also contact us through there. So,
Yep. And if anybody in the audience has a connection at Indeed or Monster or UKG, please let us know.
pass along.
All right, Dan, thank you very
Okay.
much for being here. You were a delight. Do me a favor. Don't log off right now. Stay in the green room so we can chat for a couple seconds. But we'll be back Monday, America. Have a lovely weekend. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks.